Public meeting is called to order. The time is 7 o'clock. Public portion of the meeting begins. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with provisions of this act, the Business Administrator Board Secretary has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the time, date, and place thereof posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, communicated to the Herald News, the Record, and filed with the clerk of the Borough of Hawthorne. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carr is absent. Mr. Clavejo?
Here.
Mr. Doyle?
Here.
Ms. Ehrentraut?
Here.
Dr. Morell?
Present.
Mr. Palouse?
Here.
Mr. Shortway?
Here.
Mrs. Zataro?
Here.
Mrs. Gall?
Here. Please join me for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Meeting regulations. During each regular meeting, 2 opportunities are provided for citizens to ask questions and to make comments. During the first opportunity early on the agenda, the meeting is open to the public for the purpose of addressing items listed for approval on this agenda only. The second opportunity occurs just prior to adjournment, when citizens may address any subject matter that is pertinent to and/or directly related to the operation of the school district. Persons wishing to speak must, upon being recognized, rise, state their name, address, and subject matter. Comments and questions shall be addressed to the board president or the presiding officer and shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. The board may or may not respond to issues raised by members of the public at the time they are raised, but will provide a response if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Please know that the board will not respond to comments regarding students or board employees in light of the privacy rights held by those individuals. Moreover, the board discourages comments about such individuals and will not be responsible for such comments. Members of the public who choose to speak during this public session should carefully consider their comments, since they could be held personally liable for any statements they make. Finally, please note that in accordance with district policy, the board will not officially comment or respond to any matter mentioned unless it can confirm the matter is first been brought to the attention of the appropriate school personnel in an attempt to resolve the issue. Public be heard, agenda items only. Seeing as we have no public comment, approval of the minutes, July 18th, public and private.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Dr. Morell, seconded by Ms. Ehrentraut. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Clavejo?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Ehrentraut?
Yes.
Dr. Morell?
Yes.
Mr. Palouse?
Yes.
Mr. Shortway?
Yes.
Mrs. Zataro?
Yes.
Mrs. Gall?
Yes. Correspondence. Though it does not appear on here, I would like the board to know that I did, in response to the invitation for us to attend leadership camp culmination ceremony, I did write back to Officer DeLallo and thank him and asked him to thank all of the officers that dedicate their time and efforts to help build that amazing program. And then I saw him at a football game and he thanked me for the thank you. So it's one of those things that really makes Hawthorne Hawthorne, and I just wanted to make sure that he knew that we were all very grateful for all that they do. And I have no other correspondence. Dr. Sprito.
Thank you very much. Okay, a few items just to share. First, referendum update. So, as the board is aware, we are currently updating the media center at the high school, 3 science labs in the high school, the elevator at the high school. We are still in the process of finalizing the fire alarm system. I know Jefferson, it is complete, and they actually tested it recently. Unfortunately, in the other schools, they are still waiting for parts. That's the holdup. The work, all the wiring and the equipment is installed, but they're just waiting for parts to finalize the projects. The old systems are still functioning, and like I said, at Jefferson, now that the new system is fully functional, they've tested it and they're ready to switch it over to that new system. And they'll do that in the other schools as they're finalized. I mean, it's been a year, but you know, unfortunately, we're at the mercy of the delivery of these parts that they're waiting for. The science labs should be ready to go for opening day. I was over there today. They're in really good shape. They look great. Everything's in. The furniture's all there. The cabinetry is all installed. The floors are done. The ceilings are in, so we're in good shape. Those rooms should be ready to go for day one. The media center will not be ready for day one. They're anticipating about a week or two into the school year. But I'm happy to say that the science labs, they were really important, and we got those done for the start of the school year. So the elevator is scheduled to be completed. The other thing that's still taking place in stages are these generators in all the schools. Again, we're waiting for parts. So as they come in, they install them. But that's another project that's been over a year in the making. But as they get completed, I'll be sure to make sure the board is aware of those being finalized. We are still working on our re-registration. I can tell you, just to give you some rough numbers for each school. Let me back up first. The re-registration, as the board is aware, we started back in May, at the end of May. We've been sending notifications, numerous notifications to those who haven't re-registered. In July, Ms. Dockeray, Mrs. Adames, and Mrs. Kaiser personally called every family who hadn't re-registered. We continue to send messages. We sent another message today as a reminder that their children would be disenrolled if they didn't finalize their re-registration. Currently, at this point right now, just to give you an idea, and this was a quick rough numbers because we got a lot in today. People are, because we did lock the parent portal for those parents who didn't re-register, so we're getting a lot of people who are coming in now to try to get this process completed. I can tell you right now the high school has about 75 students who have not re-registered, middle school about 60. Jefferson is complete. I think they had one as of this morning who hadn't re-registered. Roosevelt has about 60 and Washington has about 35 students. So we'll continue to work on it, we'll continue to try to get as many as we can prior to the opening of school. I did talk to all the administrators and the administrative assistants today. We're going to continue to make phone calls and do everything we can over the next, whatever it is, 2 weeks here before school starts to get as many of these people finalized as possible. We did have some who withdrew because they moved over the summer or at the end of the school year. So we have had a few that have withdrawn from the district. I don't have those numbers with me, but I'll have those numbers when we're done. And I think, to be honest with you, this happened last time. The last time we did a re-registration, I think there will be some that just won't show up when the school year begins. And we'll know, obviously, when that happens, that they're not planning to return. That did happen last time when we did this about 6 years ago. We had families that just didn't return in September. So I think that'll be the case with some of these families as well.
Can I just hop in for 1 second?
Sure, please.
Just so the public knows and the board knows that one of the people that Dr. Frito mentioned was able to speak in Spanish. That was
Yes.
why that particular person was chosen, so that they could communicate with Spanish-speaking families in the community. So that barrier was eliminated as well.
Yes, that is true.
Madam President, am I able to ask a question of Mr. Dr.
Of
Spirito, or
course.
should I wait?
No, go ahead.
Regarding the high school number of students who haven't registered.
Yes.
I don't know if they don't show up and you disenroll, if I may suggest to see somehow where they go, because they end up being on your roll for graduation as a dropout.
Agreed.
So that's just something to consider.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we've talked about that they would, obviously we'd have to determine where they ended up or if they enrolled somewhere else.
To put the right code in NJ Smart.
Agreed. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, thank you. Okay, just an update on our one-to-one. The students who had devices from last year kept their devices, except for 6th graders and 9th graders. Every year they get new devices, and we take the ones from our 8th graders who are leaving and our seniors who are leaving. We could take those devices back and we filter those down to the elementary schools. But that's how we cycle the new devices. So our 6th graders get devices as they enter middle school. They use them throughout their years in middle school. Then they get a new one in 9th grade and they use it throughout high school. So just in terms of the distribution of those devices, students entering 6th grade, the first laptop or Chromebook pickup occurred during leadership camp, at the end of leadership camp. The second one took place this morning as part of an open house that Mrs. Dever ran, and that was for any students that weren't able to attend leadership camp. She ran an open house for incoming sixth graders just to give them an opportunity to welcome them to the school, give them a little tour, talk to them about procedures and things like that. So at least they had some kind of an orientation, even though it wasn't as extensive as leadership camp. So those devices were handed out, like I said, either leadership camp or this morning, and anyone who didn't get them obviously will get them on day one if they haven't gotten them at this point. Our students entering ninth grade, the laptops are scheduled to be disseminated on Tuesday, August 29th, which is part of the freshman orientation that Mr. Pfister will be running at Hawthorne High School. He's been advertising that in his newsletter, in his email, but that's something that we'll do. And again, if they don't get them on that day, they'll get them on opening day. But that's something that they're trying to get as many of them out as possible, and hopefully a lot of these freshmen will come to orientation, which I think is a great idea, just to, again, get them acclimated to the school. Practices for all of our full sports teams, our cheerleaders, marching band, they've all begun. We're excited to see our teams compete this fall and wish them all luck as they embark on a new season. So I wish them all luck. It's great to see activity down at that field again. So I love this time of year when kids are coming back. Leadership camp was mentioned, took place last week. 108 students participated. As always, you know, it's as Mrs. Goff mentioned, it's just such a great program. And it's extremely worthwhile to those students who participate. It definitely helps them to acclimate to the school. I think it takes a lot of their anxiety about what middle school will be like. So I think it's a wonderful program. I want to thank the Mayor and Council for their support, the Municipal Alliance, who provides financial support for that program. Chief Nepper, Sergeant Delalo, and all the members of the Hawthorne Police Department, as Mrs. Goff mentioned, you know, we're very fortunate to have the relationship that we do with the police department. As I mentioned at leadership camp, you know, they run programs for us throughout the year, not just leadership camp, but they run many programs, whether it be ROAR, leadership camp. They run programs in our middle school throughout the year. They run programs for our high school criminal justice program, as well as programs around prom weekend and things like that. So we're just very fortunate to have the support of the police department and all that they do for our students throughout the year. So I want to thank everyone who was part of that. Another successful week for those students. New teacher orientation is scheduled for August 28th through August 30th. Dr. Javon has organized a great program. We'll be welcoming approximately 30 new staff members and 8 student teachers from Ramapo College, who will also, you'll see them on the agenda, they're also going to be on our sub list because they're going to be able to sub on the days that they're not student teaching. So it's typically about 1 day a week, but it just provides another pool of subs for us on certain days. So it's a great new partnership with Ramapo, but we have 8 student teachers who will be joining us at our new teacher orientation as well. So look forward to welcoming all of our new staff. Opening days for staff are Thursday, August 31st and Friday, September 1st, and we have a lot of great programs scheduled for those 2 days. And we look forward to welcoming our students on Tuesday after Labor Day. So look forward to that. And with that, I conclude my report. Thank you.
Could I just make a couple quick comments or questions?
Sure.
The field looked awesome. Drove by the high school field today, and it's so green. It looks really good. The lines are all painted. I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity, but I was pretty impressed as to the way it looked.
So we did a lot of work down there this summer. As you know, we had new goalposts that were installed. We redid the bus yard down there. We took the fence down and redid and put a much smaller fence and repositioned the buses. We are also, you'll see, hopefully within the next week, there's going to be a new sign over the athletic field entrance. The Booster Club has been very generous in supporting some of the work that we want to do down there, and so there'll be a new sign that will be installed, like I said, hopefully before opening day. We also, as you know, we had that brick sale. We sold about 140 bricks. We're also, Mr. Palmer, Dale Palmer, donated a granite H that will be in the center of that walkway where the pavers will be. And that's been completed, so we're waiting for him to deliver that. But that, again, within the next few weeks, 2-3 weeks, all of this work's going to be done outside of that entrance. And I have to thank Bob Pascal and the Booster Club for their support. You know, they've been great. It's kind of working together with me and Mr. Warner, kind of getting this all together. So excited about some of the changes down there. And again, the field, we had a lot of rain this summer, which has helped. But the field looks really good. The new fence, you know, just a lot of positive changes down there. So we're excited about the fall.
And then just the last question, ballpark, you have an idea how many kids did not make leadership camp?
I want to say it was around 50 or a little over 50 students that didn't attend.
Okay. So
I think it
class
was
size is
52,
around 160?
160, something like that, yes, in that range, yes. Yeah, I want to say 52 was the number, but it was in that range.
Okay.
And I don't know how many attended this morning, but Mrs. Dever purposely ran a program for those students who
That's
were
great.
able to attend,
Yeah.
which I thought was a great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sbrito.
You're welcome.
Curriculum and instruction, Dr. Morel.
Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Curriculum and Instruction recommends the following resolutions. CI 1 through CI 8 on page 3, CI 9 through CI 15 on page 4, CI 16 through CI 27 on page 5, CI 28 through CI 36 on page 6. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Morel, second by Mr. Shortway. Any discussion?
Comment?
Sure.
It's great to see on CI 30, the Bear Cape student. It's good to see that we have, sources of income. There's very little that we can do to generate income, and it's great to see that there.
Any other comments? I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about CI 26, which is the whopping $2 million that we are sending to PCTI for the 192 students. While I think we all agree that they have every right to attend, it's a funding formula that we don't agree with. And this does represent a deduction in tuition, if I'm correct, about $500 from what we paid last year. But this is the highest number of students that we have sent in my tenure, and I believe when I came in, it was 160. That was the highest it had been. So, obviously something we all need to be cognizant of, keep on our radar.
I don't think it was over 100 when we started.
When Bruce and I started, it was the year before you got here, there were 164 students.
When I was there was one in
Yeah.
my class.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it came down to like under 100 for a while.
I got here at about 60.
Yep.
when I came.
And then now it's going up and up and up.
And there's still room for growth, right? As far
Yes.
as like the
They're
students.
building another building.
Yeah, they're adding 800 more students. They've added 1,200, and now they're, over the last 4 years, now they're adding 800 more.
And every time this comes up, I say the same thing, that the public needs to be aware and speak up. It has nothing to do with the education that's provided. It has everything to do with the funding formula. And the politicians will tell you that it's equal payment, it's X amount of dollars per student, but it's not, because if you have 30 kids in a classroom and now you only have 28, you're still paying your teacher the same amount of money, benefits, everything that goes along with that. So we do not see any reduction in cost. We actually see money coming out of our funds. So it's smoke and mirrors, and they try to blindside the average person by making you think, well, it costs the same amount of money to educate a child in Hawthorne or in BCTI, and it's not true. $2 million is coming out of our budget, and if it continues to go up every year, it's gonna, Hawthorne's not the only one. Everybody in this county should be up in arms, because public education in the county of Passaic is gonna continue to struggle as they grow. The state needs to be put pressure on, the county needs to have pressure put on them, so just kind of be aware of that.
And this is tuition only.
Yep.
This 2 million plus is tuition only.
Not counting busing.
Right, so it's additional fees to bus students.
Could I add the human factor to it, besides the inequity with the funding formula? And this is the way it was explained to us when we went up there about 10 years ago. At some point in the 70s, there was a gentleman's agreement that the local districts were going to take care of college prep, and they were going to take care of vocational. But again, going off of memory, they were close to 89% of their students were college prep. So then you think about those, we can't service the trades, we can't service the VOTEX. So then you think about those students that are true trade students, there's no outlet for them. We can't service it. Most of what they do is college prep. So there's a void, there's a human void that's also a factor.
So it's not a collaborative
No.
effort, it's a competitive effort. And then we still lose those students that you mentioned, because if you're not college bound, you have less opportunities. So that's really defeating the purpose of what we feel their purpose was many years ago when I was in school.
It's such a good point. I mean, I personally know a student who wanted to go into a trade. She wanted to do hair and makeup, cosmetology, which there is a program there, and she did not make it in this class. So it is upsetting. Where are those students supposed to go to get those opportunities? And the special funding is set aside for VOTEC schools to do those things that we don't have access to, grants and money that we don't have access to. It's very frustrating. It's extremely frustrating.
If I may, just one thing it also affects that we didn't mention is it has a drastic impact on our athletic program, our clubs, the band. You know, it's the reason we only have a varsity team for certain sports. We can't have a freshman team or a JV team and it's not just us, like Mr. Palou said, it's all these, all of the educational, all the schools in Passaic County.
Madam President, may I ask a question of Dr. Spirito? Dr. Spirito, as president of the association for the superintendents, where does the association stand with its meetings? Is that still ongoing?
So we haven't met since, my goodness, probably it was sometime in this early spring. I think it was the last time we met when they agreed to that $500 reduction. I can tell you that we've already had conversation. There's a group, a small group of superintendents, high school superintendents, who will be continuing to meet or try, make every effort to, pursue additional reductions. So our original ask was to be under 10,000 because we were over 11,000 per student, 11.2 I think was the number, and we had asked them to try to get under 10,000. So they gave us a $500 reduction, and we said thank you, but we'll be back. So yes, we're going to continue to pursue that because we do feel that it's excessive. It's there's room. They're not hurting financially, and they're impacting us significantly.
At what point, while I respect the association's avenues and what you're going through, at what point may I, as a citizen of Hawthorne, decide to reach out to make it public basically, because I really don't think the public truly knows what's going on, and I think I understand behind the scenes we've been trying to be respectful. I'm not in the mood for that anymore.
Well, here's what I will say, and I'll speak for myself. I don't want to speak for the association. I think that's fine. I would support that 100%, personally.
To Mike's point, as far as the sports, right, when you think about equitable, we can't afford to get we don't have cross country for, and that's one of the sports that's the easiest to outfit because you just need a coach basically. But there's a downhill ski team that they have, great for those kids that get to enjoy that opportunity, but we can't have cross country and they have a downhill ski team, so, it's pretty lopsided.
And one more point, they don't have the same funding formula that we have. They don't have the 2% cap that we are held to. So it's not comparing apples to oranges, to apples to apples. It is completely two separate animals, and it is, and we lose the kids in the community. I think that's the part that bums me out as now a high school parent, when you have kids that just aren't in your child's life anymore because now they go there. Again, they have every right to attend there, but it's for a program that we have here. It's frustrating.
Do we know, is Passaic County the only one? Because I know like our neighbors in Bergen County, they're able to take their core classes at the high
Yes,
school.
there is
and then go, is
There is
Passaic
no
County
shared
the only?
There used to be.
Yeah.
There used to be a shared option. They do
But-
not offer that, and we've inquired about that.
Yes, they do not want to share.
They're not
Where
interested.
we would give the core academics here and bus them for the more technical courses. That was,
They lose money if they do
That
share.
was
We
shut
still
down.
have to pay, but it's half of the amount.
Yeah. Well,
We've
while
asked them
all
that.
of the other counties are doing that except
Yes.
Passaic County,
Yes.
I believe, from.
Passaic County,
Bergen
tell
County
you,
does
the
it.
Passaic County Vocational School is the only county
Only
regional
one,
school.
yeah.
The only in the 21 counties that does not offer shared service time.
it's also the highest tuition rate in the state. and it is the largest in the state. But to Mike's point, it's also creating some athletic issues, because when they play other VOTEC schools, they're a powerhouse, and other VOTEC schools necessarily aren't, so it's
Also, the fact they're playing regular school, they're not even just
True.
playing, you know, so
Yeah.
County tournaments,
it's not like
Yeah.
when they have to play us for argument's sake.
Yes. Yeah,
I just look at it too, just like purely financially, right? $2 million, if that was kept within Hawthorne, what that could do for our children. $2 million.
2 million plus.
Plus,
Plus.
yeah, I'm not, just
2
the
million
two.
plus.
I just wish that the local descending district had a say in, you know, in the admissions process. If we had a student, I mean, I'm thinking of several students in particular who would benefit from the program if we could help to make sure they got into the program, but that's not at all what they're interested in doing.
And their idea of cooperating over the years has been, they'll run the program for us, because that's
Right.
what they've offered for us.
That's 100% accurate.
Do they have a clear admissions guideline that,
It's sorry.
how unfortunate, it really is. That I know people, like you mentioned too, Abby, that wanted to go into that trade and didn't get in.
Right.
And here we are.
It's cherry picking at this point. It's not really helping the non-college bound.
I'll answer the question for you, no,
Yeah.
it's not, there is no
And-
guideline.
And we can't maybe hold them accountable in that way.
No, I know. I really am curious as to who. Dr. Morrell, maybe we can.
I actually do, they actually do have a spreadsheet.
They
They
so
do,
like
they
there's
have
a
a spreadsheet
criteria.
of criteria. In my previous position, I was aware of the criteria. And I can tell you again, the stereotype, the old school stereotype of trade schools was that it was for your students who were not performing well in school. That was the old school stereotype of trade
Sure.
schools. These were probably your students who struggled in schools. The criteria that that school has is basically college prep. You have A's and B's, you are, the highest scores on the state test, so you're on proficient or 5, and then other factors. So with that in itself, by default, some students who might not be as academically strong, but may be interested in a trade, end up not being selected.
So unfortunate.
Which again defeats the purpose of what the vocational school is supposed to
Right,
do.
and they're taking money under the guise of VOTEC. This is why I don't understand how it's even allowed. If you're going to continue to advertise as one thing and accept money,
It also to the point that, and I will say it, right, because it personally has affected my family, okay, where that guideline that may be in place doesn't mean that that's adhered to 100%.
right?
And it's very selective, and it hits personal for me when a situation like that is not followed, because there was no reason, right? Those check boxes were hit, and yet still not entered, right? The individual was not allowed in.
And I can think of, several students over the years, but one in particular that graduated last year. He was part of my soccer team growing up when he was much younger. But he was non-college bound, and, now they have to go to Lincoln Tech or whatever, and it cost about $40,000 for them to be able to
Yes.
finance that, when that's besides the time that, the opportunity cost, the time that they could have gained by having accomplished that during high school, if that was a possibility.
One more thing, because I can't let the county off the hook, I did mention politicians. $7 million is what the St. County gives, I believe that's the number. $7 million is what they give towards the PCTI. I know it's called something different now, but
And it's been that
PCT
amount,
for
For
the
the last 15,
Yeah.
20
it's
years.
been that way for at least 15, if not more, years, that same amount.
right, and that smoke and mirrors, again, like I mentioned before, is they'll sell it to you like, well, we're providing a great education up there, and we haven't raised your taxpayer dollars. But they have indirectly, because it comes out of our direct budget. Each school district contributes more and more money, and they say, well, we only contribute $7 million. Maybe they should consider kicking in a little bit more money and maybe tighten up their budget like everybody else has to do. If this is gonna continue to grow, I think we have to hit it from every angle, and the county has to be responsible for, stepping up and helping out as well.
I mean.
And I have no intention of running for political office. This is just a pet peeve for me, so.
It's a pet peeve for me as well, which is why I apologize for circling the drain again and bringing it up, but I can't let that number go without publicly announcing it. We sat at a meeting with other board members and other superintendents where we are not even close to being the heaviest hit. Clifton, I think it was 13 million, 15 million, they pay alone. They're paying more than the county is paying for the whole county, that one town. And then we had some other board members and superintendents share that they tried to bring back their own trade program, and that it still those students chose to go. So we are not alone. We know we're not alone. We're not the hardest hit. I can't even imagine some of those other larger towns that have to. That's a huge portion of their budget, but.
And when you contrast, the ins and outs, right, so $50 million budget more or less. I was just commenting that it's great that we're getting a Bear Kid student that's 40-something thousand,
Yeah.
but we have 2 million plus going out, so it's a drop in the bucket.
It's not even a Band-Aid, right?
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Clavijo.
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes.
Ms. Erentraut.
Yes.
Dr. Morel.
No on CI 26 for principal, on principal, yes to everything else.
Mr. Palouse.
No on CI 26 on principal, and yes to everything else.
Mr. Shortway.
Yes.
Mr. Sotaro.
Yes.
Mr. Carr is absent. Mrs. Goff.
Yes. Ms. Erentraut, personnel.
Thank you, President. The following resolutions are pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools. P1 through P11 on page 7, P12 through P26 on page 8, P27 through P41 on page 9, which continued on page 10 through P46, P47 through P49 on page 11, and P50 on page 12. On P50 through P57, excuse me, on page 12, quite a bit. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Erentraut, seconded by Mr. Clavijo. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Shortway.
P39,
Yes,
Brian Vanderhook, is he going to Lincoln?
No, so Brian Vinny Affinito, who's been a long time security guard at Roosevelt School, is retiring again. He retired from police work, right, and he's been working for us as a security guard. He's retiring. He's going to be a sub, but Brian Vanderhook will be working at Roosevelt with Jeff Vanderhook. They'll be splitting the security duties at Roosevelt School.
Oh, cool. Did we get anybody for Lincoln?
We have two, the same from last year.
Oh, okay.
The two same guards from last year will be there again this year.
The SRO guy? No.
No, so we can talk about that. I don't know if you want to talk about that later. What's that? Yeah. So
You don't-
that's not in place. Let's just say this, that's not in place for this school year,
Gotcha.
okay?
Any other discussion?
Just welcoming all the new hires, so always like to do that, and like Dr. Spruto mentioned, that there are quite a few this year, so we are excited to have you in Hawthorne.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes.
Ms. Erentraut.
Yes.
Dr. Morel.
Yes.
Mr. Palouse.
Yes.
Mr. Shortway.
Yes.
Mr. Sotaro.
Yes, but I abstain on P42.
Mr. Clavijo.
Yes.
Mrs. Goff.
Yes. Finance and Administration, Mr. Clavijo.
Thank you, Madam President. Action items pursuant to the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Finance and Administration recommends the following resolutions on page 13, F1 through A2. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Clavijo, seconded by Mr. Palouse. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Erentraut.
Yes.
Dr. Morel.
Yes.
Mr. Palouse.
Yes.
Mr. Shortway.
Yes.
Mr. Sotaro.
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo.
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes.
Mrs. Goff.
Yes. Claims? Me? I did a last minute substitution for Mr. Carr, who left us to travel the world once again. An email came in yesterday morning, and instead of burdening anybody else, I just thought I would do it myself. I did look over the bills, and in accordance with NJAC 6A:23-2:11 B, C, 3, and C4, I move that we approve the bill list for the month of August.
Second.
Moved by myself and seconded by Mr. Totaro. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Morel?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Shortway?
Yes.
Mr. Zotaro?
Yes.
Mr. Clavio?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Erentraut?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Totaro.
Thank you, Madam President. Pursuant to the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Buildings and Grounds recommends the following resolutions. BG1 through BG2 on page 14, BG3 through BG6 on page 15. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Totaro, seconded by Dr. Morel. Any discussion?
Here,
Yes.
question, that 5K, is that, could you expand on that? Good to see that.
It's an outside organization. I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
You know, who they are. I can tell you that all they're looking to do is to use the parking lot. They're not looking to use the school at all. They're just looking to use that rear parking lot outside the cafeteria as a staging area in their finish line. They haven't requested the use of the building at all.
Okay.
So I know they spoke, they had originally contacted us. I told them they had to contact the town because I have no control over their 5K, you know, where they're running through the streets. So I'm assuming they did that, and now they're following up with us just to use that space as I said, staging area and finish line.
So it's got nothing to do with us?
Nothing to do with us,
Yeah.
the school.
It's a great organization.
Is it? Yeah,
Yeah, the
I'm
Mary Therese Rose, it's for special needs kids. I've done it in Mawa for years. I didn't know they were doing it here until you just mentioned it, but
Great.
yeah, it's a nice org. Hopefully people from Hawthorne participate.
They've supposedly been doing it in another place, another town, allegedly.
I did it for a couple years in Mawa. There's a student
Yeah.
in our district that I've known for a decade that I participated in as well. Yeah, it's a nice organization.
And our streets provide for a great course. It really does. It's flat and it's,
Yeah, I'm wondering how they live. Well, it is flat. We're good runners like you.
But yeah, it's good. It's good to hear that it's that.
And,
Yeah,
go ahead.
second question. Northern Region Educational Services, is, at some point they had a relationship with PCCI, is that still the case?
No, they are completely separate. There is no connection. They used to run Northern Region out of PCTI. They're in a completely separate facility. They used to have a shared BA. That is no longer the case. They have their own BA. It is a completely separate, there is no connection to PCTI. We have a separate superintendent, Nick Vancheri, who's the superintendent of Northern Region Ed Services, so it has nothing to do with PCTI. It's completely separate.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Shortway?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes.
Mr. Clavio?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Erentraut?
Yes.
Dr. Morel?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes. Committee reports and liaison reports. Mr. Carr is not here. Mr. Clavijo, Finance Administration and Passaic County School Boards Association.
Sure, thank you, Madam President. So finance has not met. Want to wish Janine good luck as she's with us. She started out in the summer, but she's actually closing out the month of June, which means she's closing out the school year. So she's got a lot on her plate, so I just want to wish her good luck. Passaic County School Boards Association, the email came out with the meetings for this coming school year. The first meeting is going to be Tuesday, September 26th at 6 p.m. That's a hybrid meeting. The topic is going to be school district finances. Then November 30th, that's also going to be hybrid. February 1st, virtual. Monday, March 11th, and Wednesday, May 29th. I'll go ahead and include these in the Board of Ed Google Calendar. That's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Clavijo. Miss Erin Trout, Council Liaison.
Thank you, President. A few things. First, the mayor and some of the council attended leadership camp, and they thanked the Board of Education, our police department, municipal alliance, and the state police. Second, our Passaic County clerk will be here in the courtroom tomorrow from 5 to 7 for passports, veteran IDs, and to issue notary oaths. Next, on Wednesday, August 30th, the First Reformed Church here in Hawthorne on Lafayette Ave is having a community discussion about suicide prevention that the mayor had noted. Also a reminder that the next Citizens Police Academy will start Tuesday, September 12th. And lastly, the Hispanic Heritage Month date has been set for Sunday, October 8th. It does not coincide with the Pause in the Park this year, so hopefully we'll get a great turnout. I know it's been building every year, so that concludes my report. The next council meeting is Wednesday, September 6th.
Thank you, Ms. Erin Trout. Myself, for New Jersey School Boards Association, just want to remind everybody that convention is in person this year. It is October 23rd through 26th. If anybody would like to attend, please let Karen Skay know. If there's a group rate, it's about the cost of 4 individuals going. So if they know in advance, they can just register as the group rate. Some other districts just register everybody. I don't think we want to waste that money. I mean, I can't go, I'm a teacher, so that is out of the question. But anybody else who would like to go for any portion of those days, if you haven't been, it is really amazing. You come home with all kinds of pens and highlighters and squishy things. It's a good time. Also want to give you your monthly reminder to get on your mandated training if you haven't done it already. It runs January to January, so if you're in years 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 10, I think that's it. You have to do it, or we will get in trouble. Karen Skay is good about that too. She normally sends you guys reminders. Dr. Morel, I know that we didn't meet, but if you have anything for policy or CNI.
No.
Okay. Mr. Palouse, HEF, CPAC, PTO.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple quick things. It seems like PTOs are pretty much right now getting ready for the upcoming school year, posting class supply lists. So if anybody has students in any of the schools, should go onto the Facebook page, register if you haven't already, so you can look at the lists. CPAC has a parent guardian satisfaction survey that will be going around. It's going to have a hard cutoff date of September 30th, and then they will report to the board after they compile all the information. They'll report back to us. And then finally, HEF, the Ed Foundation, will be starting one of their fundraisers, hopefully in September. Right now it's just preliminary, but it should be in my phone, except I can't find it at the moment, so bear with me for 1 second here. A basket of gift card raffles will be for $10 per ticket. We'll have a little bit more information as we go, but hopefully as soon as the school year starts, those raffle tickets will be available. And again, just if you don't know, HEF provides a lot for the entire district. You know, the PTO is kind of focused on your own school, but HEF kind of spreads out throughout the district. So support everyone that you can, and if you have time to volunteer for any of the organizations, please do so. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Palouse. Mr. Shotaro, Buildings and Grounds.
Thank you, Madam President. Buildings and Grounds Committee did not meet this month. However, we did receive a few updates from Joe Higgins on various items being performed before the start of the school year. With that said, painting of the special program suite in the high school, the entire special education suite was painted this summer, which includes the office and common areas. Additionally, painting of the first floor hallway in the high school by the culinary room. We received a quote to paint the walls in the first floor hallway. This would be a continuation of the painting already completed in the main hallway. This work is scheduled for Friday, August 25th. Also, the replacement of the stair treads at Roosevelt that they mentioned at one of the earlier reports a couple months ago. The stair treads inside the main entrance are old and required to be replaced. This work is scheduled to begin tomorrow, the 23rd. Also at Roosevelt, the faculty bathroom tile replacement. These tiles are old. needed repair, so we decided to replace the entire floor. That work is scheduled to begin on the 24th. And then over to Washington, the repointing of the front of the building. Although we already had completed some of the repointing, there is some additional work that is needed. The gaps in the bricks are impacting the walls in a few of the classrooms, which completing this work, we are completing this work so we can also repair the interior plaster. This work is anticipated to be completed by this Saturday. Additionally, at Washington, as mentioned previously, due to the gaps in the brick, some of the areas have been damaged and are in need of repair. So once the repointing is complete and the plaster can be repaired as well. That's inside 3 of the rooms. Let's see, also Washington again, the facade repair, we replaced and painted the plywood portion of the overhang outside the main entrance. The area was also painted to match the new front doors. This work was already completed. 2 more to go. Bottle fill stations installed at Lincoln by the gym, 1st and 2nd floor hallways. We are adding 3 additional bottle filler stations at Lincoln Middle School. And lastly, at Jefferson, painting of the 2 rooms, 2 larger classrooms upstairs were repainted this summer by our custodial staff, which that work is also completed. So a lot getting done this summer, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir.
Madam President, I have a question for Dr.
Of course.
Sparrow about something that Mr. Totaro
Go
said.
ahead.
The water bottle fillers, been a while since I've had someone at middle school. Are they allowed to walk around with water bottles? Because that was not allowed when my children.
I literally
were in
just wrote that down
middle
myself.
So they did start to allow it at some point last year. For a while, they were not allowing it.
Correct.
But I don't remember exactly when they started to allow it last year, but they did give students an opportunity to do that
I
last
think it was
year.
right after a break, April break.
Yeah, it might have been right at the end of the year, they did start to allow them to do that, so I
That's
anticipate.
good to know, because I'm like, what's the purpose of putting in a water bottle
Right.
filler if you're not allowed to
Right.
fill up with
No,
water?
I wrote it down myself to make sure I asked.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yep. Okay, public be heard.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Toby Murphy, Frederick Avenue. I have 2 questions. One is for clarity. I think it was earlier this year at the town budget meeting, they discussed the hiring of an officer for I think the middle school. And I was wondering the role of that compared to the security.
So, let me say this, first of all, we have been discussing with the town, there's been a town committee that conversation, that's where that conversation began. The conversation is ongoing. I can tell you that there has been discussion about them placing an officer as a school resource officer in our schools,
Okay.
mostly in the middle school,
Okay.
as well as supporting things in town. That will not happen this school year. They did just hire 2 new officers, but those officers need to go through the academy. So in order for them to put someone as an SRO, those officers need to be fully active on the road. So they're looking right now at a September 2024 as the start for that. And I don't want to give you specifics as to the role because we just haven't met to discuss exactly what the role will be. That's something that I'll do with the chief of police and the members of the police department as we get closer to the implementation of that position. But right now, I don't have a job description, if you want to call it that, at this point.
Okay.
All right?
And the second question, speaking of PCTI, I know it's a sort of subject, especially tonight. I was wondering if there's ever any exit surveys that were done to figure out if there were themes or trends as to why students left and if there were larger percentages over certain compared to other reasons.
So I can tell you that for the last few years, Jen Basilone did it for years, and our new counselors do it now. We typically meet with those students to find out what programs they're applying to. To just talk about them. Is it athletics? Is it a particular program? So we do that. It varies year to year. It's not I wouldn't say it's a consistent theme throughout, but I mean, athletics is definitely part of it, and there are certain programs, especially when they built the new STEM building. There are students that are going there for that particular program, which is not vocational, that's college prep. I mean, the end of the day, it's not, as the board mentioned, to me, they've lost their mission, you know, because it really was meant to be a vocational school to support those students who are not college bound. So they're getting away from that mission, and we are seeing students attend for, you know, especially when they built that STEM building. And now their new program is going to allow students to get college credit while they're there at PGTI. So, I mean, again, it's getting further and further away from their mission of vocation.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
I mean, that's,
Graduate with like an associate.
yes, that's what they're talking about with this new program. So,
pre-med
but yes, we do talk to the students who do apply and why. They create a whole list of not just PCTI, but even the other private schools, DePaul and Bergen and Bosco and those kinds of things.
If you don't mind, Dr.
No,
Strito,
please,
they
please.
did share the results. They did an electronic survey. I believe it was late last year. I was shocked at how many students said athletics was the #1 choice. And then there was an option for, my parents told me this is where I'm going. And that was a significant chunk of the students as well. We can't combat that.
Yeah, you can't go back to that, yeah.
But education, I think, as we've said, educating the public, we try to do as much. We're trying to get people into the high school to see all of the shiny new things that we have going on, the anti-mosh tables and, you know, the referendum and thanking the community. We're really trying. I think that's our best bet. Even having those strategic planning meetings in the high school, getting people to come in to see that crown jewel and walking through, and I mean, that's kind of where we think that we're headed, just trying to get people to see it.
Yeah, see the good.
You know, see the
We're trying to
exactly,
do that, too.
giving them the option, saying, you know, come look, don't, it's not a foregone conclusion. Trickling down as much as we can to the middle school has been a big focus. This year they invited I believe, the 5th graders went up and saw a play at the high school. That was their field trip. So we're trying to get our middle schoolers and even our 5th graders into the high school now as much as we can, crossing over teams, rec teams with high school teams. It's exhausting, and we have to market a public high school, which is never something I thought we would ever have to do as a Board of Ed. But yeah, just something, weird trends like that, like things that I didn't anticipate it being so heavily athletic. I get it though. You know, with 2%, we can't have downhill skiing.
We could with $2 million.
Right. But we tried, like the tryout with the hockey, if there's a way, there's a will. There is a will, but if there's a way, we try to make whatever we can reasonably work within our budget.
Thank you.
Sorry for the long-winded response.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Sylvia Gather, Ely Avenue. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I just want to say how thankful I am for the leadership camp. My son was a part of it, and it was amazing. The officers were incredible, and it just really shows how dedicated they were to our children and to our community, and it was just something that I've never seen before. So thank you for that. And my other question is, typically when do we receive the results for the MJSLA that was taken in the spring?
Yeah, we typically get those in the fall at some point, and we usually have to report them usually report them in our October meeting. We have our district testing report. We usually report those results. So I anticipate it'll be a similar timeline. I mean, that's typically what we've done in years past, but depends when the state decides to.
They get mailed here, right? And
Yeah,
then we mail them
get
out.
Right, they
To
get
the
sent to
parents.
us,
Yep.
and they're
Okay.
typically disseminated out from there.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, comments. We're gonna try something new. I'm feeling adventurous. Rick goes, oh. I'm feeling adventurous. So we're just going to start. Mr. Palouse, you're it. And you're going to tell us what kind of comment you're giving us. You're gonna do all your comments at once. Is it a general comment? Is it a new business?
No
Is
comment.
It okay. Well, that wasn't,
Way to put the
that wasn't
pressure
a
on
good
me.
guinea pig. Okay, Ms. Andrew.
General comment
There you go.
about, so, like Sylvia mentioned and Dr. Strito, leadership camp was so awesome. This was the first time I was able to attend. The last 2 years serving on the board, I couldn't get out of work. And It really was cool to see how excited the students are, to see how much we know how much our community cares, but I think it was just great to see the sixth graders and their parents hear how much we all care too. So really cool for our district. End with my comments.
Mr. Totaro, any comments?
I'm a general comment. I'm going to echo those sentiments as well. I was able to attend. This is my second time going to leadership camp. Just as amazing as the first time. I'm thankful to Alex who invited me the first year. And you know, by the way, congrats to the Orange team.
Yeah.
And you know, what a sport, Detective Cumin.
Oh my gosh.
Right after the Orange team won, shaved off his mustache, which was the winning prize for his team. So definitely kudos to him and being a good sport. You know, it's just, I don't think people realize how impactful it is. And my niece was in it this year, and just to see the growth in her and what it did for her esteem going into the sixth grade, I think it's just a huge impact for the kids. And I you know, I don't think you realize not all towns have this program and how lucky we truly are. And it's just one of those other little things, right, about Hawthorne that makes us unique. And I think that's what we need to grasp with people, is to understand that uniqueness that we have as a community and how we need to leverage that. That's what we need to market, right, is how we need to retain students in this unique, amazing community that we have. And yeah, they may have the flashy, shiny lights over there, but you know, we have something that is equally as relevant here and amazing. So, and Leadership Camp is one of those programs, so thank you.
Mr. Clavio.
So general comments, leadership camp, those of us that had kids that participated in the program know how awesome the program is. It really is unique. It's a work in progress of over many years of many individuals, including Mr. Koch, who you know, was part of that program. Something that stood out to me when I was at the Monday at a welcoming, they asked how many kids are nervous about, you know, this new stage, and 3/4 of the cans went up. You know, so you forget, you know, like, you know, you become disassociated with it. You forget what a, you know, what a big, such a big step this is for the kids. So at the end of the week, you know, they may not be 100% confident in what they're doing, but they're that much better about you know, this new stage that they're getting into. So yeah, it is pretty awesome. Football team, want to wish them good luck. I think they're playing their first home game
The
next week.
31st.
Yeah.
Yep, 6 o'clock home game, First North Arlington.
Awesome. And last but not least, just want to thank everybody that works in the school over the summer. Today I was at the board office and it was chaos with everybody, you know, everybody that's looking to register, you know, late, I may add. You know, prior to being on the school board, didn't you know, was naive as to like what happens during the summer. You think that last day of school finishes and everybody goes home, and that is not the case. Besides the administration, custodians, all the referendum work, there's a lot that happens behind the scenes over the summer. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that's part of that.
Thank you. Mr. Doyle.
I have no comments.
Okay. Mr. Schwartz.
Just general, just looking forward to the new school year. That's about it.
Dr. Morrell.
Yes, I have something for new business. Dr. Spirito, I know I looked at the student handbook and I saw that we have the National Honor Society and we have the Honor Society for Spanish and Italian. I didn't see any others. So I was wondering if you and the high school administration would consider looking into two other honor societies that are more geared towards the visual and performing arts. One of them is called the Tri-M Music Honor Society, and the other one is the National Arts Honor Society. I just thought that we have, you know, the other ones are more academic based, not saying that music and art not academic based, but it's on other abilities. And I think we have, although to be honest with you, probably a lot of those students are your band, your chorus, and artistic kids as well. But I think also it will be interesting to just provide another avenue for students who are heavily involved in visual and performing arts, that they also be recognized. So I just wanted to throw that out there, to see if it's something that, the high school administration and yourself can look into and consider.
Absolutely.
To piggyback off of Dr. Morell's point, as a middle school parent, I've had a number of middle school parents ask why we don't have Junior National Honor Society, and I'm never really able to give them an answer, but we're looking at the scope of them. Maybe it's worth taking a look about doing it at a younger level as well. They're, just a pros, cons. I know that Dr. Dragona is very into those types of adventurous recons. She likes doing that.
Okay.
Anything else, Dr. Morell?
No.
Just for myself, general comments. I was going to announce the football game. Everyone come, please, support. I also, in addition to thanking the police department and the Municipal Alliance and the council and the mayor for their contribution to Leadership Camp, it is also heavily supported by parents. They do a lot of the volunteering to serve the food, so thank you to those parents. And we have a huge section of students who my own daughter didn't even get in. So many students want to be mentors that they have a very selective, granted she missed the announcement, missed the sign up, but she'll try next year when she's an 8th grader. So many students throw their name in the ring, and that speaks more to the magic of Hawthorne. So many kids want to be a part of this on the other end of it. It's magical, and that's another relationship building thing that I think is awesome, and that those 6th graders then see those older kids in the school, and it's awesome. So thank you to everyone involved in it. Thank you to everyone in the community who helps support our rec program, the camp program. Many of our students benefit from that. Keeps them, having them something to do during the summer. Just enjoy the last few weeks of summer, everybody. We will be back at it before we know it. I have no other new or old business to discuss. Oh, I did want to bring something up. If you notice, this will be under new business. It was on this agenda. We did change the calendar. We amended the calendar and moved the graduation date back a day. And just for the general public to know, Dr. Sprito called me and had a suggestion that it was originally going to be on the 19th of June, which was Juneteenth. So it with some foresight, Dr. Sprito suggested that we change it, and we did. It was a simple fix now. We fixed it now. As it got into the year, that would have been a complicated fix because then project graduation is set. People coming in from out of town. Once graduation date gets out, it becomes a bigger deal. So Dr. Sprito, to his credit, had the foresight to change that, and now he was able to very easily fix that, and now we end the day sooner.
Yes.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted everybody to know that was the reason why. Anybody have anything else? No? Okay. There will be no private session this evening, so we are not needing to do any of that. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, Mr. Palouse. Mr. Palouse gets the motion, and the second goes to Mr. Totaro. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Clevio.
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yep.
Ms. Erentrout.
Yes.
Dr. Morell.
Yes.
Mr. Palouse.
Yes.
Mr. Shortway.
Yes.
Mr. Totaro.
Yes.
Mrs. Goff.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So we will have